The gnocchi you ate last night would be completely unrecognizable to the people who invented it. For over 1600 years, the most important ingredient didn't even exist in Italy. Arabs claim it, ancient Romans claim it, and there is a medieval cookbook written in a language that no longer exists that might finally settle the debate. But here's the twist. The original gnocchi was born of desperation, not culinary elegance. So if there were no potatoes for nearly 2 millennia, what were they actually eating? Italy is a country built on layers. Ruins on the churches, churches on the parking lots. Gnocchi is no different. The word itself comes from gnocchio, a knot in the piece of wood. Small, hard, deeply embedded. Every Italian region claims the true version. In Venice, they make it dark with cocoa. In Rome, with semolina. In Friuli, they hide plums inside. Everyone insists theirs is the original. But the truth spans 3 continents. Who is actually right? Let's start before Italy was even a country. In ancient Rome, soldiers weren't eating light, fluffy pillows. They were eating a survival mixture of egg, spelt, and cheese, fried or boiled into dense little nuggets. Food built for efficiency, not for the grandmothers of today. There was no elegance, no tradition, no family table. Just fuel for men who needed to march. But then the flavor profile shifted. When Arab traders expanded across the Mediterranean between the 8th and 11th centuries, they brought with them a tradition of small, spiced dough, seasoned with cinnamon, coriander, and ground nuts. Historians can literally follow the breadcrumbs here. The spice combinations found in early southern Italian dumplings are nearly identical to medieval Arab recipes. The geography matches, the ingredients match, the timeline matches. But neither the Romans nor the Arab traders used potatoes. Why? Because in Europe, the potato was considered dangerous. When Spanish explorers brought it back from South America in the 1500s, the reaction across Europe was closer to panic than curiosity. It grew underground, which many communities considered deeply unholy. It looked almost identical to deadly nightshade, one of the most poisonous plants in the known world. For nearly 200 years, people planted potatoes in gardens, not to eat, but as ornamental flowers. Some communities went further. They believed that eating potatoes caused leprosy. Then famine changed everything. By the 18th century, northern Italy was starving. Harvests had failed. Populations had grown faster than food supplies could follow. The potato, cheap, hardy, and extraordinarily filling, became not a choice, but a necessity. Farmers planted it because there was nothing else. And somewhere in that crisis, in some kitchen we will never be able to name, a cook mixed boiled potato with flour and shaped it into something small enough to cook fast. The result was softer than the Roman spelt cakes, more filling than the Arab spice dough, and cheap enough that even the poorest families could eat it every day. What is remarkable is how completely the new version erased what came before. The Roman military rations disappeared. The spiced Arab variations survived only in tiny villages that most outsiders never visit. The potato version spread, not because it was refined or sophisticated, but because it was necessary. And necessity has always been the most powerful force in food history. Today we debate forks versus boards, kneading time, the right flour, the right potato. But we forget what the dish actually is. A Roman soldier's ration, an Arab trader's recipe, a desperate solution to a continent-wide famine, all compressed into something you can finish in 4 minutes. Follow the history, not just the recipe. More dishes are waiting.